An Ironman forever stuck at level 3? What can we get up to? Let's find out. Welcome to Let's Build a Level 3 Ironman. Hello and welcome back to the Level 3 Ironman Skiller Progress Series. In the last episode, we unlocked one of the most consequential upgrades for the account by getting access to Magpie Implings and their rings of recoil that they drop infrequently. This, when combined with Poison Dynamite, will allow us to get through a vast array of combat encounters that will give us some cool unlocks going into the future of this account. And of course, that's what we're going to primarily focus on today. Let's put these rings of recoil and this Poison Dynamite to good use. But not before a small skilling detour, as I really want to unlock U birdhouses to make sure that my birdhouse runs are as efficient as possible. In order to get U birdhouses, I'll have to get 60 crafting, and this provides an opportunity for me to show you what the basic crafting loop will be for basically all of my crafting training going forward. Whereas in the past I was buying some glass supplies from charter ships, I'm actually going to be gathering it all myself moving forward. The first step to that is mining sandstone in the desert, which can be exchanged for buckets of sand at a rate of about 50 GP per bucket. Unfortunately, this will take my whole cash stack for the time being, but it is pretty quick and a lot faster than actually just collecting buckets of sand on my own. It also provides some passive mining experience, which is pretty nice. So after spending my entire cash stack on those buckets of sand, I did realize I had a little bit of Magpie Impling loot that I could sell, and this is really nice. Basically, every time that I go hunting for rings of recoil, I'm going to be getting a decent amount of passive loot that I can sell for money, and you can see here it didn't add up to a whole lot, but any little bit of money helps. Back to the crafting grind, I'm cooking some seaweed that I got from farming into soda ash, which is going to be my primary source of soda ash. I've been keeping up with my seaweed runs as much as possible, so this shouldn't be a constraining factor at all. And then finally, we smelt the glass at Edgeville Furnace, which I believe is the closest furnace I have to a bank that doesn't require any extra requirements or payments or anything. And finally, 60 crafting. This grind only took a couple of hours and will be greatly worth it, as the U birdhouses provide a sharp increase of experience over their lower level counterparts. Now the next little skilling grind I want to take on is actually 70 fire making, so it's finally time for me to step foot inside the Wintertot prison. I've been putting off Wintertot for probably a little bit too long, as fire making is actually really important to get to higher levels for me. So the way Poison Dynamite works is you actually gain a couple of max hits dependent on your fire making level. If your fire making level is below 70, it only maxes a 2. If it's between 70 and 90, it maxes a 3. And if it's above 90, it maxes a 4. This might seem pretty inconsequential, but with the way accuracy works in RuneScape, it basically greatly increases the accuracy of the Poison Dynamite. So the way damage works in RuneScape, it actually takes place in 2 rolls. The first is the accuracy roll to see if you hit it all, but the second is the damage roll to see how much damage you hit. That second roll is completely linear. Any number is as likely as any other number from 0 to your max hit. So if the max hit of the dynamite is only a 2, that means that my chances of hitting a 0 are about 33%. But if my max hit is a 3, my chance of a 0 goes down to 25%. So all that to say, I probably should have gotten higher fire making sooner, but we're going to fix that now by getting 70 fire making. I will come back for 90 again at some point in the future, but I think 70 will be worthwhile, as it should only take a couple of hours and that extra max hit should help a lot. So I did all my fire making solo in the Wintertot. It can be a little annoying because you often get crashed, but I do prefer this method a lot more, as it gives a lot more construction experience as well as a lot more loot rolls for your time here. Though unfortunately, even from the 70 fire making grind, I didn't really get much good from the loot rolls. I did get a good amount of cash, which is nice, and I also got warm gloves and a Bruma torch, which could be handy for the future, but nothing incredibly impressive from the loot. Moving on from Wintertot, I wanted to go ahead and test out my newer higher max hit with the Poison Dynamite, and in order to do that, I actually stopped and bought some Culinarimancer gloves from the Recipe for Disaster chest. I kind of forgot about these, but they do provide a decent little accuracy boost. They're not as high as leather vambraces for ranged, but if I do need to use melee, which I will here coming up, they do provide the most accuracy that I can get. Right now I only have access to the bronze gloves. With the new gloves equipped, I went ahead and paid a visit to our old friend Slegalith and got the poison off. It took around 3 more inventories of Poison Dynamite, so it really used a lot. But we finally got the poison off, and after waiting a little bit, Slegalith was down. Unfortunately, however, we're not done with one small favor after that. We do have one more combat encounter, and that's the dwarven gangsters that you have to fight. Now each of these gangsters is pretty low level and should be pretty easily killable with Poison Dynamite and or recoils, but all of them together can easily stack me out, so I have to be a little careful. But as it turns out, it's actually incredibly easy to avoid the damage damage here, you can just run away when they initially aggro you and then they won't be aggressive anymore, and then you're free to pick them off one by one. But it gets even more interesting than that, as you don't even have to kill each Dwarven Gangster one time. You can kill the same Dwarven Gangster 3 times, letting them respawn in between. And this is actually really important because they all have different stats associated with them, and one of them has 40 HP while the others only have 25 HP. So I definitely want to kill one of the ones that has 25 HP, as I'll be using recoils here to save Poison Dynamite. The technique here is pretty simple and is something that I'll be doing for a lot of combat encounters going forward, and that's getting 1 confirmed damage with Poison Dynamite. One other cool thing about this encounter is you can actually leave and come back between kills and the game will still track them, so there's no need to try to squeeze all 3 kills in one inventory. I was able to restock really easily. So with 3 Dwarven Gangsters down, I was able to continue the quest and go ahead and complete one small favor. This is incredible as it gives you 2 10,000 experience lamps that you know we're going to be throwing directly into Slayer. These experience lamps do require level 30, so don't do this quest before you get that level 30, but since I have it, I'm able to do it and put them directly into Slayer. And this is actually incredible. It put me straight up to 40 Slayer, and that's notable because it unlocks the experience lamp at the end of the Architectural Alliance, which will be another 10k experience lamp I'll be able to get pretty soon. I do have to complete all of the Zaya favor before I can get that though, so it is a little ways away, but I'll be focusing on that in the near future for sure. After completing one small favor, I did want to do a little bit of diary cleanup. There are some easy diaries that I can complete, and they all give a 2.5 thousand experience lamp, so they're worth knocking out of the way. I can actually complete the Ardoin, Falador, Kandarin, Korund, Lumbridge, and Varrock diaries pretty much without any consequence, though some of the different tasks can be a little difficult. I can also technically complete the Desert Easy diary, but it requires getting 40 strength experience from Open a Sarcophagi, and there has been some talk about removing this in the future, so I'm not going to do that one for the time being, and just focus on the ones that for sure won't give me any combat experience. And the first of which is going to be the Varrock Easy diary. This one's also really nice because the Varrock armor is useful in Guardians of the Rift to get more of the Guardian fragments, so I probably should have did this one before doing a big Guardians of the Rift grind, but it'll be nice to have going into the future. Throwing that lamp on Slayer, and then moving on to the Falador Easy Diary. Now the Falador Easy Diary does have one difficult step in that you need to kill a duck in the Falador pond, but thankfully, even though it seems kind of strange, you can poison dynamite these ducks that are in the pond. Now the problem with this is the ducks are not poisonable and cannot hit any damage, so I can't recoil them, and I have to basically roll a 3 with poison dynamite to kill them outright. So it will take quite a few poison dynamite, but yep, so it turns out that ducks are now poisonable. About a month ago, Jagex made a update that changed the poisonable status of many NPCs across the game, and ducks were one of those impacted. So even though I only hit a 1 with the poison dynamite, the poison kicked in and killed the duck, and I got the kill credit for the diary. Cleaning up the rest of the diary gets me another experience lamp and the Falador Shield 1, which unfortunately is not very useful to me because it just provides a prayer recharge. Now after this, I wanted to move on to something a little bit more interesting. So I've had a hard clue sat in my bank for many days at this point, and on this hard clue I was lucky enough to get 3 steps completable without any special requirements, and that's pretty notable because it's really unlikely. There's a lot of emote steps and combat steps and quest requirements in hard clues that make it very hard to complete on a level 3. Now that I have 3 steps completed on this clue, it means that I could get the reward casket in the next step, though there could be up to 2 more steps after that. I'm pretty close to getting my first hard casket on the account. Unfortunately, however, I did get a Ceradoman Wizard step, which basically means I have to kill a Ceradoman Wizard in order to dig in the right spot to get the next clue or hopefully casket. But after a little bit of theory crafting, I think it actually might be possible to kill the Ceradoman Wizard. The problem is the Ceradoman Wizard is really high level, it's not poisonable, and has 120 HP. So I'll have to do a combination of poison dynamite damage and then tick eat a lot to do the 120 HP worth of damage in recoils. So the location I actually had to go to is on this island used in the Watchtower quest, which thankfully had a lot of obstacles. And the first step to getting this done is actually to de-aggro the wizard by running a short distance away from it after it spawns. I usually had to take 1 hit during this process with a Guthix Rest, but this was not normally a problem, as the wizard only maxes a 14 with melee. After that, I tried to get a confirmed damage with the poison dynamite and then run behind some trees so I could begin tick eating. But as you can see, this first attempt went terribly. I died. The second death on the account. This is actually one good thing about not being a hardcore Ironman anymore, as I'm able to attempt risky content like this. That was all the time I had for this attempt though, but we'll be back later in the episode to try some more. So every so often, I'm going to try to do a couple hours of magpie impling hunting in Peepo in order to keep my stack of recoils up and also keep some cash flowing into the account. What you're seeing now is the result of about 2 hours of magpie impling and nature impling hunting, which isn't too bad. I was a little light on belladonna seeds with only 8, but other than that, the rest of the loot was really good. This will provide a lot of cash moving forward, as well as those 6 recoils. I think realistically, I can expect 3 to 6 recoils every hour, which isn't too bad because they do last quite a while. So after that, it was time for my next little skilling grind. Actually, a bigger skilling grind this time. My clan was starting an agility skill of the week and I wanted to participate, so I figured it'd be a great time to knock out 70 agility as well as finally finishing my full graceful. Nothing too interesting here though, just running laps at the Sears course in Sears Village. Keeping up with the farm runs in the background, as always, here's a little update. 80 farming from the hardwood trees here. Really nice, really on my way to get to that level 85, which is the next goal for those hard contracts and access to the upper tier of the farming guild. About halfway through the grind of getting 70 agility for the clan skill of the week, I did go ahead and buy that graceful, those 2 remaining graceful pieces that I needed to get full graceful, which will be really nice to have. After that, I decided to take a small break from agility and process all of the Guthix rest supplies I had in my bank. So I've been growing a lot of Guams, Marintils, and Harlanders, and I had enough supplies to make about 250 Guthix rest teas, though they're not trivial to make by any means. The first step was starting off by buying bowls of water at Shantae Pass. This is the fastest way that I can think that I have to get bowls of water. Much faster for sure than buying bowls and filling them myself, I think. And then I went ahead and headed to Berthope, where they sell 20 empty teacups inside a general store there. It's a little further from a bank, but it's not too bad. And thankfully, I only have to do this once, because after I create my Guthix rest teas, the decanter at the Grand Exchange will sell me more as I decant my potions from 1 to 4 dose for about 50 coins a cup. So I really only need a starting amount of cups, and then I could get lots more, much easier than this. Since I was at Berthope already anyway, I used the fire there to cook all my bowls of water into hot water and then put them inside the cups. And then finally, I combined all the ingredients for the Guthix rests. So combined, I got about 180 Guthix rests 4 dose, which is pretty good. And that got me up to 35 herb lore. This whole process I think took me about 2 hours, so not too bad considering the Guthix rest will last me quite a while. Definitely be growing more herbs in the future to get more of these though, as they are the best food by far that I have access to. So after this, I wanted to begin cleaning up some quests that I should have probably done a lot sooner on the account, but either forgot about or just was too lazy to actually get them done. And the first one on the list is actually Tourist Trap, because it could give me a little bit of agility experience as their reward. The main reason I didn't do this one earlier on is because I thought it would take poison dynamite and or recoils to get access inside the camp, as you have to kill a mercenary captain. But it turns out, because this is one of those ancient quests that hasn't been updated in forever, you can actually cheese this entire fight by killing the mercenary captain on another account. And as long as the mercenary captain is in combat with you as it dies, you will get the key. So I could have did this very easily from like the first day of the account. But nonetheless, I have it now, and we finished the quest pretty easily after that, of course throwing that XP on agility. After that, I wanted to complete the next phase of the RFD quest, which is the goblins, and in order to do that, you have to complete goblin diplomacy. So I got that one out of the way, and then completed the goblin RFD part as well. This gives me access to those iron gloves that I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, the next step up. I think it is possible for me to get steel gloves even by completing the Pirate Pete subquest, but it'll take a little bit more investigation and making sure it's possible before I attempt it. After this, I went ahead and attempted another Ceradoman wizard kill, this time abusing a different tree, and it was going pretty well actually. I was stepping out, taking a damage, eating a potato to tick eat it, and then stepping back in. If you're not aware how tick eating works, by the way, effectively what's going on is all ranged and maged attack damage in this game is calculated when the spell or the projectile is first cast, and then it takes some time to actually reach you and inflict the damage. So if you have 1 HP when the wizard casts the spell, and then you quickly eat a food, that spell is only ever going to hit 1 damage, but you've already eaten a food, so you will survive. And this is how I can survive a spell that could hit a massive 20 damage every time with just 1 HP. And this allows me to inflict lots of recoil damage back to the wizard. So this attempt was going really well until I misclicked a tree, let the wizard pass to me, and then died. But we're not done yet. We'll have another attempt later in the episode, and hopefully we'll get the kill. So a little bit later on a farming run, I ran across a shooting star and I decided to mine it. Getting that celestial ring will be really nice for any mining training in the future, so I definitely want to get that as soon as I can, though I'm not really going out of my way to look for shooting stars. I'll mine them passively when I find them. This specific shooting star gave me about 1500 stardust, which is almost enough for the ring already anyway, so it won't take very long. I just need to find basically 1 more star. And on that farm run, we got 82 farming. This might not seem like a notable level on its own, but actually with a garden pie, I can now boost to 85 farming, which gives me access to those hard contracts and the high tier of the farming guild. So I'll be doing that whenever I can using garden pies bought from the cooking guild. After that, a small detour to sell more magpie loot for cash. I had a lot more loot this time because I had done even another session of magpie impling hunting in between, and I got around 300k cash, which is really nice. The magpies really helped the cash stack. And then finally, I think just a few days after the skill of the week actually ended, I did get that 70 agility. This is really nice because this is more or less the end of my agility training, at least in the sense of getting extremely useful unlocks from agility. There's not a whole lot that I need that is higher level, though there are a couple small unlocks. Like at 75, I stopped failing the agility pyramid. For now, 70 is a really good stopping point. But of course, I will be training it higher just to get it higher. That's the whole point of a skiller, is to train your skills, right? After that, it was time to do some video editing, so I went and did some AFK woodcutting, of course, and finally got that level 75 woodcutting, unlocking magic logs. This is actually huge because it gives me access to unlimited fuel for the Grand Tree balloon route, as it requires 1 magic log per time you take that trip. I could have got these magic logs from nature implings, and I did have quite a few at this point, but I didn't really want to unlock it until I had access to actually just chop them myself, because it would be really annoying to have to get the magic logs from nature implings exclusively for that route. Also, I'll need magic logs for birdhouses in the future as well, so getting 75 woodcutting is just really nice all around. I went ahead and wasted no time and unlocked that Grand Tree balloon route, which is really nice because getting to the Grand Tree for me was incredibly painful. I basically had to walk from Argoin every time. And the reason I want to get here often is so that I can do tree runs and use the 2 tree patches that are inside the Grand Tree and get a lot more experience that way. So at this point, with all the questing we've been doing and all the attempts at killing the Ceradomin wizard, I was running really low on dynamite, so I wanted to go ahead and grind out 1,000 dynamite this time to make sure that I had some for quite a while in the future. And just like before, I went ahead and made this all by hand. Mining the volcanic sulfur is really annoying, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward. The only change I made to the process from the last time you saw is that I bought balls of wool from Hosidius now. There's a shop that sells balls of wool just outside the bank there, making it a lot faster to buy them. The only slightly annoying part is if you accidentally steal from her stall, you can't talk to her for like 30 minutes. But even if this happens, you can still buy them from the general store, which is like right next to her. It's just a little bit further. But it made it a lot easier to get those balls of wool. And then finally, after putting all the dynamite together, we have 1,000 dynamite in the bank, ready to go to be combined with belladonna and make poison dynamite. One nice thing about doing this by hand too is I also maxed out my Lovakinch favor basically passively, because you get 0.1% Lovakinch favor for every dynamite you make. So this actually wasn't too bad of a method to get my Lovakinch favor to 100%. Now we just have Arceus and Shazian favor to get to 100% for that Architectural Alliance, which I will be doing likely in the next episode. And then finally, I gave it one last attempt at the Ceradomin wizard kill. Now this attempt was incredibly strange because I actually procced a poison on the Ceradomin wizard, but it turns out that the Ceradomin wizard can only take 3 hits of poison before the poison wears off. It's really strange how poison works in this game now, and I don't think it's fully understood, but that extra damage is going to be extremely nice for actually recoiling this thing down. So let's get behind our tree, give this another try, and see how this goes. Yeah, unfortunately, the wizard timed out and despawned. The wizard only lasts about 5 minutes before it just disappears, regardless of whether or not it's in combat, and that's all the time that I have to actually kill it. And if you actually do the math, on 120 HP, if you try to recoil that down with the wizard's 4-tick attack speed and 1 damage per attack, you can only do 120 damage in just under 5 minutes. It's like 4 minutes and 45 seconds. So that only gives me about 15 seconds to get the kill set up, and then I have to be tick perfect with my recoils. So while it still might technically be possible to get the Ceradome and Wizard kill, I don't think it's worth it anymore. I'd have to be so precise and so perfect, and unless the clue is going to be a guaranteed casket, I don't think it's worth the attempt. It's very likely, even if I did kill the Ceradome and Wizard at this point, I wouldn't be able to complete the clue anyway, because I would still have more steps to do. So unfortunately, even though it was fun theory crafting a way to kill this thing, I put that clue on the ground. However, unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. It's definitely really fun to see where Poison Dynamite and recoils can take us, all the content that we can complete without even training combat in this game that is very, very, very heavily based on combat. I'm still having a blast, and I hope you are too. Of course, we can't leave without thanking the members who have joined the channel so far, with a double huge thank you to all those members who have joined at the top tier: Peepo Time, Mad Hatter, and KittyLynne. And thank you all for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.